Hello, we're back. Vintage. Deck pack.
Vintage.
This is getting deeper and deeper. Alright, so what do I have in front of me? Right here.
You have Survival of the Fittest.
Yep.
And the Fittest is the little lizard.
I would say so.
Yeah,
I mean, that does look like a dinosaur. Suspiciously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one that stands on the top of the food chain. You
Clearly.
just don't know it.
Anyway, so, survival.
So yeah, this is the survival kind of list. So you can pay a green to, of course, discard a creature card and go find another creature card. And this abuses this heavily.
Yeah, very toolboxy.
Yes. So of course we have the 4 Survival of the Fittests, and then for the creatures we have the 4 Basking Rootwalla. So this has Madness 0. So when you discard it, you can just pay 0 and get a Basking Rootwalla, and yeah, you just cast it for free. So if you discard it to a Survival of the Fittest, you basically have just cast this card and then go fetch another card, which could be like another Basking Rootwalla. Then you have 4 Hollow Ones. So this gets cheaper based on the number of creatures you've discarded, or number of cards you've discarded this turn. Survival of the Fittest conveniently discards cards, so if you find a Hollow One at the end of like a survival chain, it's just a free 4/4, which is a pretty big boy.
And why would you want to cast a bunch of creatures in one turn, I wonder?
Yes, the next creature, of course, Vengevine. So, because Madness is casting the card, if you, like, discard a Vengevine, find a Vengevine, discard a Vengevine, find a Vengevine, put 4 of those in, and then find a Basking Rootwalla, and then discard that Basking Rootwalla, cast it, find a Basking Rootwalla, cast it, or discard it, find something else. Oh, look, you've cast 2 creature cards this turn, and all those Vengevines come back.
Yeah.
And then if you find like a Hollow One after that, and you just stick another 4/4 on the field, your opponent's going to go, well, this isn't fair. For the other creatures, we have the 4 Deathrite Shaman. We have a lot of fetch lands putting into graveyard. Opponents tend to also play fetch lands in high-powered formats like this. Also, just does a lot of other shenanigans, like eating their cards that they might want to snap back, or eating creatures. Of course, we don't want to eat our own, because they tend to come back out of the graveyard, but our opponents might always have some if we need a little bit of life. Yeah. We have 4 Collector Ophi, which just activated abilities of artifacts can't be activated.
It's a no rod on a monkey.
Yeah, it's null rod on a monkey.
Sort of.
It does hurt us a little bit, but I mean, it probably hurts the opponent more in Vintage because everyone likes playing artifacts. Of course, like we have mostly a full suite, but it's also fetchable with Survival of the Fittest, and we have 4 copies, so they're not really going to get rid of the Ophi.
And at worst, it's a bear.
Yeah, and at worst, a bear, which is still quite good in Vintage. We have 2 Leovold, Emissary of Tress, so this stops our opponents from drawing a bunch of cards, also lets us draw cards whenever they try and target anything of ours or us. Which tends to happen a lot in Vintage. Yeah. So, just free cards, and everyone wants to draw cards. I mean, every cantrip is restricted in this format, basically.
Pretty much.
Everyone wants to draw cards, and Leovold doesn't let them. Then we have the 2 Deputy of Detention. This is our catch-all answer. It when it enters, just exiles a non-land permanent. So, again, fetchable with Survival of the Fittest.
It's also all ones with that name, too. And in Vintage, there's a lot of, like, tokens. So
yeah, so it can, like, wipe out tokens. If your opponent gets lucky and has multiple copies of a card, you just get rid of those. But it also, just steals whatever annoying artifact they possess. Things like that. We have 1 Squee. Squee is fun because if he's in your graveyard, he goes back to your hand on your upkeep. So he's just a free, repeatable card to discard to a Survival of the Fittest. So either by drawing them naturally or just fetching them out, we can have a chain going later turns. 1 Wonder. So as long as this card is in your graveyard and you have an island, creatures you can draw are flying.
I was wondering why that was there.
So if you have that discarded into a chain with Vengevines, they're probably not blocking anymore. We have 1 Elvish Spirit Guide. This just helps us if we're trying to get the last punch, because you can exile it to add a green. So if you need to fetch it out, just 1 extra green mana, it's fetchable through the Survival of the Fittest, and just helps, if you need that last green. But sometimes you don't need it, and you don't have to worry about it in those cases. And then 1 Gadok Teague, which stops our opponents from casting high cost stuff, and
Force of Will.
Yeah, things like that. So fetchable again through the Survival of the Fittest chain, and just a kind of hate bear thing. For the Moxens, since we're kind of a 4-color deck, we have a Mox Jet, Mox Emerald, Mox Sapphire, and Max Pearl. Of course, since we're playing Vintage, we may as well just throw that Black Lotus in there.
I like how these 3 were Mox and this is Max Pearl.
Max Pearl.
Undercover agents. Max Pearl.
We have Time Walk because, I mean, it's Vintage. Yeah. We're playing blue. If you're not playing Time Walk, you're doing it wrong. Even at worst, it's an Explorer. Mm-hmm. It's a blue Explorer.
Exactly.
And then Ancestral Recall for very much the same reason.
Yeah.
And
then force me to draw 3 cards.
So we have 1 Bazaar Baghdad, which we can fetch out with 3 Sylvan Scrying, so effectively we have 4 copies of the card. And since we have that toolbox, I went ahead and threw in Crocus and Maze of Ith as extra targets we could fetch. Yeah. Because Crocus, if they're going to play annoying legendary creatures, just no, we're white, so may as well. And Maze of Ith does the same thing if they're trying to attack us with something like a Blightsteel Colossus. Well, it's not getting through. Mm-hmm. Then for the rest of our lands, 1 Savannah, as white and green aren't our primary. Green is, but white's not as much. 1 Forest and 1 Island, just a few basics. 2 Bayou, 2 Tropical Islands. And then a selection of fetch lands, the Windswept Heaths, Wooded Foothills, Verdant Catacombs, and Misty Rainforests.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, excited to see this, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!